Hey everyone, welcome to Q&Andy. I mean, what better guest leading into Wimbledon than Tim Henman?
Let's go.
All right, former number 4 in the world. Took us on all of those roller coasters, at least when I was watching. Tim, how's it going?
I thought you were going to finish off by saying and ended up with a hill.
Well, I was actually... I was going to say, we had this conversation. When you're on site, do you say, let's go to the hill? Do you say Henman's hill, or do you say, let's go to my hill?
My hill. I mean, I own it, so why wouldn't I?
Were you surprised they didn't change the name to Mount Murray?
Never heard of him. I mean, you can't change its name. Once something, as important as that has a name, you're not going to change the name of Centre Court. So why are you going to change the name of Henman Hill? I rest my case.
You rest your case. I had some comments, but since the case is rested, we'll move on. In all seriousness, pumped to have you on the show. You've been such an integral part of the Wimbledon experience for so long as a player, and then kind of shifting over to the club side. I remember when I came over to commentate for a cup of coffee for the BBC, I remember watching you. You'd go from like the commentary box into a meeting, you'd be talking about potential weather delays, and then you would be going into the office to make decisions about the weather delays. You wear a lot of hats during this tournament.
Yeah, jack of all trades, master of none. But it is a busy fortnight. When I stopped playing in 2007, and then 2008 was the first time that I worked for the BBC and was commentating, and that was really sort of the only commentary that I did, television work as it were. And then in the last 5 or 6 years, I've got much more into the television side, working at the Slams, working for Sky Sports, for the certain tour events and the US Open, and I've absolutely loved it. But I was then asked to become a board member. So we have the board for the club and the championships, and I've done that for a long time. I think this is my 18th year. However, I think for the first 9, I was just there to bring the average age down. They didn't really listen to me much. But so
you've been a board member for 18 years?
I have, yeah. I think this is my 18th year. We do 3-year terms, and we have to be re-elected by the membership. And
interesting. And they've kept you on.
I know. Yeah, it's amazing that I haven't been found out just yet. But you never know. Maybe this is the last year, because I think I have to be re-elected this year. But it's been amazing, because it's been a steep learning curve to understand about the business, and whether it's television rights or debentures or the estate, and how much that has evolved over the years. So I've loved it.
The leadership at Wimbledon was so nice to come on after they made their prize money announcements last week. I think, at least from my own kind of text inflow, they got a lot of credit for making the announcement and just coming out, and I was allowed to ask any questions. Now, for you specifically, is it weird at all that you were obviously one of the top players in the world, and now you're on the side where you're kind of dancing between, the player side and an obligation as a board member to the club?
Well, no is the answer. And I'd like to think, therefore, that I am capable of seeing both sides of the equation.
Sure.
And, I was one of those, along with yourself, one of those actors and actresses that are at the forefront of the game. And that is what Wimbledon is about. It puts the players first. And it is obviously about finding somewhat of a balance when we go straight into that prize money conversation. But I think what's important for perhaps people that don't understand the model so well is that Wimbledon's been there for 150 years. It's got, a very successful structure of the way that it reinvests, the way that the facilities for the players, the fans, for the television audience has really evolved over the years, and that whether that's the roofs on Centre Court or Court 1, and that does provide the platform for the players. And prize money has increased massively over the years. In 1998, I happened to be looking when I made my first semi-final. I was thrilled to get £108,000, and I mean that, but it will be £125,000 to win a round this year. So look, prize money has increased. I'm sure it will continue to increase, but so will the investment in the site itself, and that's massively important. And then again, just to finish off on that point, 90% of the profit of Wimbledon goes to the LTA for the benefit of British tennis. So, no one's getting rich at Wimbledon, and admittedly that is invested back into the sport. And if you're, not British, I can understand that you don't necessarily benefit from that money, but a lot is invested into the grass court season. And so, the recent prize money announcement was, I think, very positive. It was just over a £10 million increase, 20% on last year, and I think it was well received by the players.
Yeah, just as a personal point, I've obviously been around Wimbledon. I've seen a million things, the way that the club operates. There seems to be, I think, wrongly sometimes, the general public thinks there's like this secretive thing because it's this majestic place with all this mystique and I actually, at least in my experience, it's been the opposite. Like I can text him or the chairwoman or whoever else and get an answer very quickly. Like, so just there's no response needed on that. Just in my experience,
that's good to hear.
More of an open book than most places. Something that is getting a lot of play and all cards on the table. We've pre-taped this to fit schedules before traveling, so I'm sure there's every chance that Serena is playing singles now or something. But walk our listeners through kind of the wild card process, because there's a lot of knee-jerk reaction to, and I tried to explain, Khvalinska makes the finals of Roland Garros. Oh, she deserves one. I'm like, there are moving parts, right? There's you gotta, if Serena wants one, she's getting one, I assume. If the British players, are they going to take a spot from someone who's up and coming, who they've been talking about giving one to for 4 months? Can you just walk us through the different parts of impact for kind of making the decisions with wildcards?
Sure. So Wimbledon, first and foremost, is a tennis club that has a tennis tournament. And as I mentioned, I sit on that board. We have our chairwoman, Debbie Jevons, who you spoke to. We have 11 other board members, and we sort of oversee different parts of the business depending on our skill set. So I chair professional tennis. So I look after, oversee with Jamie Baker, who you also spoke to. He is the lead executive for professional tennis. And so within that, I chair the group that makes the decisions around wildcards. So the LTA, the head of women's tennis, which is Ian Bates, he will come and make his recommendations as to who he thinks should get wildcards into the women's singles and the women's qualifying. Leon Smith, who's Davis Cup captain in charge of men's tennis, he will come and do the same on the men's side of things. They will leave the room, and then a small group from the pro tennis team, including Debbie Jevons, Jamie Baker, sits on that group. Denise Parnell, our referee, Sally Bolton, our chief executive, and David Rawlinson, who is chair, or I need to check, can't remember if he's chair or president of the LTA. And then we will then sit and have a conversation and look at the British players. We'll look at players coming back from injury, up and coming players, and it's therefore very much our prerogative as to who we give the wildcards to. And yesterday we had that meeting, and we haven't given out all the wildcards because we can wait just to see what's happening in the grass court tournaments at present. But obviously we want the best players. We want the biggest names in the tournament, and you use Helinska as a good example. There's someone that had the most extraordinary run from qualifying to the final of the French Open. Those ranking points were obviously accumulated after the entry deadline. She's 21 in the world. She got a wild card yesterday. It's I think that was one of the easier decisions.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of them look easy on paper, but then I think there's more that goes into it. But I also feel like there's kind of a human element. I'm curious how you value it. Wawrinka, being a 3-time Grand Slam champion, gets one. Obviously, Venus and Serena get one. That's great for the tournament. They've, imagine winning that tournament 5 times and being the second best player in your family. Like, we can't ever undersell that. Like, it's absurd. But one of the more dramatic and sad moments from last year's tournament was Dimitrov, kind of blowing out and getting a massive injury when leading center, and he gets one. So it seems like there's not a script, matter, kind of a general North Star towards story making.
Yeah, it's this is most definitely not an exact science. It is absolutely looking at all the different angles, and obviously we've got on the women's side, we've got some really exciting young up and coming players. Stan Wawrinka, is he 40 or 41 now? And he's a 3-time Grand Slam champion. He's one of the greats of his generation, and we're delighted that he can be out at SW19 for one last chance. So look, there's 8 in the main draw, the men's and the women's, and at times we wish there were 12, but that isn't the case. We also have 9 into qualifying, but what we've also done is we have wildcard playoffs, which are for the British players who have the opportunity of competing maybe for 2 or 3 matches to then get a wildcard into qualifying. And I think that's a great option so that they have the chance to earn it. Again, there's we give the junior champion from the junior event of the championships last year a wildcard into qualifying as well. So we have both the men's and the boys and girls champions in qualifying. We have our national champion in the boys under 18s and girls under 18s in qualifying as well. So, there are plenty of decisions to be made, and that's before you even get to doubles, which you obviously mentioned Serena and Venus, which is, I think, massively exciting for everyone.
So we run a podcast from like a garage, and we're pretty excited because we're actually going to be in London for the first time. We can afford plane tickets.
Barely. So
Techie Sean and producer Mike are going over. They booked a house on Airbnb. Techie Sean's never actually been to Wimbledon. Has he been out of Arizona and North Carolina?
He went to the U.S. Open last year.
He did.
It was hard for him.
So this is a big deal. Can you walk us through? They're staying in, around Wimbledon Village, booked a house. What do they do? What's like a night in Wimbledon Village for someone not as famous as Tim Henman?
Yeah.
Oh, guys, you're in for a treat. Wimbledon Village is such a great spot. Andy will vouch for me as well. I mean, the clue's in the name. It really does have that village feel and some great shops. It's walking distance, down to the All England Club. And you've just got a whole mixture of, I'm not going to say British institutions, but some good restaurants, some fun pubs, bars for drinking warm pints of beer. So it's you will love it. So what would I recommend? I think, if you were trying to impress someone, the Ivy Cafe, which is on one of the mini roundabouts right in the high street, that's a pretty upmarket joint.
That's
probably
classy.
a bit posh for Roddick.
We'll expense that one.
Yeah. You've got the Dog and Fox, which is, across the road, and that's
my speed.
That's your vibe?
Yeah, that's my speed.
On a nice summer's evening, they're spilling out into the road, and you will absolutely love it. Can't wait to have you here.
You don't have a dish named after you anywhere? You don't have a sandwich or anything like Mr. Roddick?
So
just
I think I did sort of see a slight someone emailed me through with this, and they talked about going, what would you do if you went into London? And I'm going to go slightly off piste and say you need to go out of London, because we live in a very small village about an hour west of Heathrow. And we and 3 other families bought the pub in our village. And that is without doubt the best thing I've ever been involved in. We have 3 other partners. 2 of them live in our village, and one of them is a French chef, and he's been in the trade for 30 years. And he runs the pub. We bought it about 4 years ago, did a big renovation job. It's called Olivier at the Checkers. You are my guest anytime. And
yeah,
it's 200. It's 200 yards from our front door. So.
I mean, I gotta be honest. Techie Sean would he would crawl across nails to get a free beer. So if there's no pride in this room.
I can't believe he's not on this, right? We will definitely be there because we're flying out early to set up the Surf studio. Good. So we'll definitely be knocking on your door.
Henman's gonna I'm gonna text him. He's gonna be like, "Fuck, I thought that was just a bit for the show. For fuck's sake, like I don't want to."
Who are these guys?
I know the draw just came out and you're busy, but can you host us for a pint?
All right, producer Mike. We gotta. This is the Q&A show. I kind of took over. I'm sorry. What do the fans want to hear from Tim?
Well, one of the things we talked about, and I think a lot of fans wrote in about this, and so Alice on Instagram had wanted to know, did being a Brit at Wimbledon and facing the pressure that came with that make it easier or harder to play your best tennis?
I think this might surprise some people, but I absolutely loved playing at Wimbledon. It was my favorite time of year. If I could have played my whole career on one court, it would have been centre court at Wimbledon, because I felt that the crowd just gave me unbelievable support. And I think because on the whole, I got off on the right foot. I mean, I did get disqualified in 1995, which was a little bit unfortunate.
Have you heard about this?
No.
Couple of days.
Yeah, he's a real dick. He knocked the ball girl out of the tournament. He got defaulted.
When you finished, I'll explain what happened. So I was playing with Jeremy Bates. He was the British #1 at the time, and we were 2-1 up in the first round. We were in the 4-set tie break. We were just about to win, and we were playing a very nice man called Henrik Holm, who was Swedish top 20 player, and another gentleman by the name of Jeff Tarango. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but
also got defaulted.
He was less helpful on the occasion. Anyway, they hit two lucky shots in a row. We were back on serve in the tiebreak, and I had a ball in my pocket. It was their serve, so I was walking back to the baseline, and I sort of hit the ball away while I wasn't looking, and the ball girl was the other side of the net. She sort of popped her head up, and I hit her. I hit her in the head. And anyway, I got disqualified. There's so many funny angles to this, and it was a nightmare. And I had to do press conference. I was sort of 19, going on about 12 at the time, and the first question in the press conference was, how do you feel to be the first person in 120 years disqualified at Wimbledon? And my parents were both members at Wimbledon. Alan Mills was the referee. I'd known him since I was naught. Oof. He sort of, disqualified me. And then I went back. I was sharing an apartment, and the person I was sharing the apartment the next morning went out and bought all the newspapers, the broadsheets, the tabloids, and that individual was Andrew Richardson, and he is now coaching Raducanu. He coached Raducanu to the US Open title, and he was best man at my wedding. So I remember when I got disqualified, that's right, the next morning the headline on the back page of the Sun, the headline was, "He hit it so hard it could have killed her." And that was Tarango's quote to the media. I was like, come on, Jeff. I mean, it wasn't quite that bad. She carried on running, and we carried on picking up the balls. So anyway, from that moment on, I never, ever read the newspapers. I was just like, that's not going to help. And 2 days later, the Friday, Tarango walked off the court when he had the argument with the umpire and stopped. And he said, enough. And then 2 days after that, Murphy Jensen didn't turn up for mixed doubles. So there were 3 sort of defaults that year. And I was the trendsetter. I mean, what can I say?
I feel like we need to find this ball girl.
Of those 3, of which Tarango was actually like really nice to me when I was young. Murph has completely turned his life around to his credit. But of the 3 who you would have said, which one doesn't fit as far as just getting thrown out of the tournament, it probably would have been it probably would have been Tim. What else we got, Mike?
Jessica wrote us and said, you had a couple great Wimbledon semifinal runs. There were a couple super lengthy rain delays during the 2001 semifinal. Do you think if you had a roof and no delays, the outcome of that match would have been different?
I don't think I know.
Yeah.
I was joking. Look,
I was going to let you sit in that one.
Yeah. The funny thing about that was in the 4th round in 2001, I was playing Todd Martin, who's one of my closest friends from tennis. We're going to go and stay with him, actually, my family, and we're going to stay with him in August in Rhode Island. And basically, when I got up, picked my bags up to leave the locker room, my back seized up. and I was really struggling, and I was 2 sets to 1 down, and we stopped for bad light. So then that night I was able to get treatment and a lot of work on my back, came back the next day, and I played great, and I beat him in 5 sets. And obviously, fast forward, 4 days, I then play Ivan Isevich in the semis. I'm 2 sets to 1 up, and it starts raining. And then we come back on Saturday, he wins the fourth, and it rains again, and we come back on Sunday, and he wins. And so, yeah, it was definitely the most frustrating and disappointing match in my career. But without a delay, I wouldn't have got there. And there were plenty of occasions when delays helped me, but that was definitely the most, high profile one. So, look, if we'd have had a roof, I think I had a good chance to beat Goran. I'd played him 4 times up until that point. I'd never lost to him, and he was someone that I kind of liked playing. But on that occasion, it didn't go my way.
Crazy.
It's a lot of perspective to say. I think I would have won it.
It is.
Yeah.
Marcin has a
I had to
question.
play Rafter in the final. I mean, there's no way I would have lost to him.
No way. No chance. Yeah, that guy stinks. Go ahead.
Marcin has a question. What did facing Pete Sampras feel like, especially on grass?
Yeah, I played Pete 2 Wimbledon semi-finals. I lost to him 7-6 in the third in the final at Queens. That was another one I would like to have won. It was a funny story because kind of through Paul Annacone. Paul was Pete's coach, and I always got on well with Paul, and Paul worked with me for my last sort of 5 years on tour. I started practicing with Sampras a lot around that time, and we'd go for dinner, we'd practice, and it was just a good friend of mine. And whenever we practiced, I would say if we played 10 practice sets, I think I win 8 of them for sure.
He was the worst practice player of all time, comparably to what he actually brought when he played, for sure.
And again, I think most of us would agree, you want to ingrain good habits. You want to practice the way that you want to play matches. Whereas him, it was just about feeling the ball on his strings and getting the timing. Anyway, we get to the 98. So 98's the first time I beat Korda, who was, I think, number 2 in the world in the quarterfinals, to get to my first semi-final. I'm playing Pete, second match on center, that sort of afternoon slot. It's just, this is it. And I walked on court sort of thinking, I can win this. I'm going to win this. I was so confident and good about my game. Obviously, I'm playing one of the all-time greats, but I'm thinking I'm going to win this. And we're warming up, and we hit ground strokes, volleys, and then I'm standing in the corner getting the balls from the ball kid to start warming up my serve. And all of a sudden, I heard this crack, and I was like, what the hell was that? And I sort of turned around, and this ball was sort of hitting the fence about 5 feet up, and it was Pete warming up his serve. And I was like, oh shit, he's got a couple of gears left.
It makes me think of so the first couple times I played Pete on tour, I won when I was really young, and we played a quarterfinal in 2002 at the U.S. Open. And similar to Tim, I'm like, I understand what Pete is, but at this moment in time, I just had a good summer. He was ranked. This was after he was reading books and losing to Bastel in Wimbledon. So I'm like I think I'm favorite. This motherfucker, he comes in on a first serve, sticks a volley off of a good pass, looks at me, and flicks his sweat at me and walks back. He definitely had a different gear. What else?
That was the year that Greg said he was a step slow, wasn't it?
It was the year that he was a step slow, but his step slow apparently was good enough for the win and the walk-off.
Yeah, the mic drop.
Yeah.
A couple more questions for you. Megan asked us, when you look at the top 50, who would you love to turn into a serve-and-volleyer? Who do you think would thrive playing that style today?
If the courts were as fast as when you played, I think is the caveat.
Oh, wow. I look on in amazement from where they return serve, and I'd have to put the brakes on. My serve wasn't fast enough, but I'd run into the net before they hit the return. I'd be so close. Zverev, I think, his first serve, he serves at 75% first serves a lot of the time, and when they retreat so far back behind the baseline. Your volley doesn't even have to be that good. The issue a lot of them have got is they don't do it enough in practice. So therefore, what happens is they will throw in serve and volley when they're up 4-1, 40 love, and they say, oh, look, I'm working on my volleys. It's like 4-all, 30-all. Let's see whether you can volley then. But I would love to see, more players use that tactic, not just because I love to do it, but from the fact that it keeps your opponent guessing. I mean, very, very few players do it, but you've got to try and do that at a young age. And look, volleying is very easy. I mean, it's the most simple shot out there, forehand and backhand volley, but you do need to learn it at a young age. I don't think that the strings these days are conducive. You've got to have a bit of talent as well, Andy. But I think if you can, learn it at 13, 14, it can serve you in good stead later on.
I like when one of the best volleyers of all time be like, it's a pretty easy thing. That's like me saying, I don't know, fucking Tim, you just rip back and hit it 140. Like, what's your problem?
Yeah. Just figure it out, guys.
All right, Mike.
Last thing, and you kind of touched on this earlier, but Tom asked us on Instagram, what are the main changes you want to see happen at Wimbledon? And what do you see the tournament looking like in 5 to 10 years?
I'd love to see Wimbledon be a little bit quicker.
Surface-wise.
I think I actually think it's probably ball-wise, because I think that the grass, there's been so much research done and improvements into the quality of the grass, and there's still a lot of work going around that. We actually, Andy, did you know that there's 2 part artificial courts at Orangi? There's a company called the STRI, Sports Turf Research Institute, and on the back of all, your American football pitches, but our soccer pitches and rugby pitches, they have a lot of them now are part artificial. They have 5% artificial grass, and then when you sow the natural grass, the grass binds around the artificial element and makes it a lot stronger. And we put in 2 at Orangi and didn't really say anything. They've been there for 4 or 5 years, and the players play on them, and they play really identically, but they're a bit harder wearing. Anyway, there's a lot of work going into grass courts and sustainability, but also making them user friendly, and whether you can play on them for larger amounts of the year. So I don't think I'd be that inclined to try and fiddle with the court, but I think if you could make the ball a little bit quicker, and we know that the balls vary from Penn to Wilson to Dunlop to Head to Babolat, and Wimbledon is a Slazenger ball. So I'm not saying that's going to happen, but if I could make it sort of 5 or 10% faster, I think it would give people the opportunity of being, perhaps a little bit more aggressive and coming to the net. So there was another part, 5 to 10 years. Look, Wimbledon, and it's part of its DNA, is history, tradition, with innovation. And there's a lot of work going on in our Millennium Building, which is a 2-year project. The first year is done. It's absolutely phenomenal what has been invested for the players and the members to a certain extent. Next year, that will be completed for the 150th anniversary of the club. But the big project is across the road, and the All England Club bought the golf course, I guess about 30 years ago. It was on a 50-year lease. We paid 65 million to buy the membership out of the golf club, so that now that land is, potentially going to be part of it developed for the club and the tournament, but then a big chunk, I think it's about 27 acres, given to the community as a parkland, as a park 365 days of the year. So, 5 to 10 years, hopefully that, will have started. We're the only Grand Slam that doesn't play qualifying on site. So we'd love to have, qualifying there with much better facilities. But then when qualifying's finished, then you've got, a whole load more practice courts for the main draw players. We'd love to have an 8,000-seater stadium with a sliding roof. Centre court and court 1 are fantastic, but our third show court is a big drop off between 15,000, 12,000, and then 4,000. So if we could have 8,000 across the road, that's the vision. So 5 to 10 years improvements, but I think the big emphasis will be moving into that land. Fingers crossed if we get the permissions that we need.
Tim, I don't care what anyone else says about you. I like you. I appreciate you coming on. I've really appreciated the transparency of the club these last couple of weeks. We're always happy to listen and be a medium for communication. Can't wait to see you over there. I'm glad you got in some digs because sometimes you walk around with all that polish sometimes, and people are surprised when I say Tim's actually maybe one of the funniest guys on tour. So I appreciate you coming on.
No, thanks, Andy. And look, I quite like you as well. And we're very happy and proud that you're a member of the All England Club, an honorary member. There's not too many people that don't win Wimbledon and become an honorary member, but you're one of the few, and rightly so. I spent a lot of time at Roland Garros with a few of your contemporaries, John Isner and Sam Querrey and Johnny Mack, and I was up front with them. They were great fun. I really enjoyed their company, but I just said, be prepared. I won't even acknowledge you when I'm at Wimbledon with a jacket and tie on. I won't. I just won't. And they were accepting. I think they were accepting of that. So I'll try and acknowledge you, but if I don't, then you know why.
I don't know. I feel like I won't be offended. I might say something. What are you drinking there? Like you going a little early pop there?
Ribena. No, just Ribena. Do you have Ribena? It's like blackcurrant juice.
I don't know. Let me Google something real quick.
I said just a Pinot.
Yeah.
No. I'm more of a claret guy. Yeah.
Okay, nice.
The bigger reds. Yeah.
Tim, thanks for coming on Q&Andy. We
Pleasure,
appreciate
guys.
We appreciate you, and we'll see you in a couple days.
Thank you.
Yeah, 100%. Look forward to safe travels, and we'll catch up at SW19.
So Tim's fun, man. Like,
oh, so good.
He's smarter than the rest of us.
I mean, are him and Andy Murray the two funniest dry wit people that, like, would it be impossible to hang out with the two of them together?
They have this ability where they've cut you and you only realize they've cut you after you've bled out. They both have, which I appreciate. I'm the opposite. I'm like blunt force trauma.
Yeah.
They're sneakier and better. But I mean, there are certain shows where we don't know, like we hope it's great. We don't know, you find something. This is like Tim's a layup. Like, he's gonna. I like that he went in depth on a lot of those stories though. Yeah, that was pretty fun.
I mean, you know what? So he said that you would vouch for him on, when we book a place on Airbnb, we're going to stay there. That you would vouch for him. He obviously offered up very clearly for us to go to his place and have a pint. So
I thought he invited you to stay at his house for a week.
He did. He said at least 3 days.
Yeah,
until you start to smell like fish. But I mean, obviously, you have a massive love for Wimbledon. You have a massive love for the All England Club.
Yeah.
What is the top 5 things Sean and I need to be sure to do while you're busy working and we're busy freeloading?
Yeah, you guys aren't going to do anything.
Just at night we'll be busy.
Yeah, Wimbledon Commons is fantastic. You all, if you're not on a time, you should walk every day to the courts.
Yeah.
From where you're at. It's like you kind of get the energy of people walking towards it, the sense of arrival. Our sandwich spot, Maison Saint Cassien, you get the chicken with the mozzarella. I talk about it every year. I will be going. I will be eating. You have to go to the Wimbledon Museum when you're on site. They've preserved all the artifacts. You can go look through. You would be a nerd for this. You love this type of shit. Like you can go, they'll bring all the old books off of and you can read about the tournament. Like they'll have like the 2008 edition and they'll have, a binder full of clippings like this. Obviously strawberries and cream. You got to get that pick. Something that you and Sean, I think would be funny for the show. The queue at Wimbledon. People literally sleep in tents overnight.
We got to do that.
Going and taking a 12-pack and be like, we're from Serve. What do you guys do? Like, I think that would be, if I'm being honest, I lost one of my first years at Wimbledon and my buddy and I went and took a bunch of beers and we're just hanging out with the people waiting in the queue. It was the best. We stayed there till like 2 a.m. just talking shit and playing music, and it was awesome. It's the best. One
of the best parts is we can just go take the tube into London too for a day, and I think we were looking at some experiences on Airbnb, and I think we're going to book some. But what is like a can't miss in town in London? All
of it. Tower of London. I mean, Sean's literally going to go.
Yeah,
and his head's going to explode.
I know.
What are some of the experiences? There was somewhere like you can go. There was like a haunted tour, like a
Jack the Ripper tour. I think we're gonna try that.
You got to do that.
I think we're gonna do that one.
What if you were doing the Jack the Ripper tour while going full ripper on some beers.
Well, I think there's also a historic pub tour, and I said to Sean,
fun.
I go, I think we go pub tour first, Jack the Ripper tour afternoon.
Sean's like a hopeless romantic for culture. If you go on a pub tour, he's gonna be like, it was the best I've ever seen. I met British people. It's gonna be fantastic.
I feel like we shouldn't let him listen to this episode. We should just surprise him with the entire experience.
He's gonna lose his mind. It's the best. It's the best. I've said it over and over. I mean, if you want, we had a vault where I basically walked us through what we should do last year. Maybe we post that at some point. But it's so special. This legend of all legend of tournaments, and then the village going in, the infrastructure. It's in the middle of a neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. It's the best. Sean's gonna love it. You were there last year. We might actually get credentials.
I hope so. Yeah, I think so.
I think we can go whenever we want.
Yeah, I think
Well,
so.
I can, but maybe
you can always go.
Yeah,
I don't have a locker yet.
yeah. I don't think I have a locker, but I just have access. Thanks for watching Q&Andy. We are so pumped, and we'll see you in London.